Research shows that pictures are more easily remembered than words, and people have relied on images for meaning and understanding of complex ideas. In science, students need images to make difficult abstract concepts more concrete. I have chosen to redesign a 4th grade unit on the scientific method. The unit was designed using the dynamic instruction design model. Within this model, Madeline Hunter's instructional theory into practice model for direct instruction will be used as a teaching strategy. The purpose of the unit redesign is to make the lessons more visually appealing and memorable. The first step in the dynamic instruction design model is to know the learners. Knowing the learners describes the characteristics of the learners for whom the lesson is being created. The students are a class of 4th graders with an even mix of Hispanic and African American ethnicity. There are 2 students who have graduated from the ESL program but still have difficulty writing English. All of the students prefer kinesthetic and visual learning and also need auditory forms of learning to retain information. There are also 4 students with individual education plans needing to have tests read to them, additional work time, and preference to working in small groups. The second step in the DID model is to articulate objectives. These are student expectations. Through kinesthetic and visual activities in class, students will be able to perform a simple experiment using all of the steps of the scientific method according to a project rubric. On a computer-based assessment created by Compass Learning with 70% accuracy, students will be able to answer multiple choice questions about the scientific method. Students will understand how to follow procedures relating to scientific investigations, including formulating hypotheses, controlling variables, collecting and recording and analyzing data, interpreting results, and reporting and displaying results. Students will also indicate that repeatability of results is necessary for the scientific community to accept someone's findings. Next, establish the learning environment. For this unit, student desks will be arranged in small groups. Students will be awarded positive behavior intervention and support points for keeping peace in the classroom by being respectful, responsible, and resourceful. All materials for activities will be stored on the bookshelf and labeled appropriately so that the materials manager from each group can easily access what is needed without wasting time. The specific learning theories used for daily planning is part of identifying teaching and learning strategies. For the teaching of this unit, Madeline Hunter's instructional theory into practice model for direct instruction will be used. There are 7 elements in the direct instruction framework: learning objectives, anticipatory set, lesson objectives, input, checking for understanding, guided practice, and independent practice. Each element must be completed, yet not all 7 will be included in every daily lesson. To begin, the unit learning objectives will be posted and discussed for all students to see and ask questions about. The lesson will then move to the anticipatory set. This will focus students and allow the student to build on their prior knowledge of the subject. In this case, students will be asked to watch a Mythbusters video from Discovery Channel. Mythbusters was chosen to open the unit because the steps of the scientific method are replicated accurately in each episode. Students will have the opportunity to discuss the video using Think, Pair, Share. In the original lesson plan, the second day of instruction contains a PowerPoint presentation to introduce students to the scientific method. According to Bamford, people have relied on images for meaning and understanding of complex ideas, and that the combination of verbal and visual elements was seen as the best medium for representation of these complex ideas. The original lesson combines verbal and visual elements consistently. However, the verbal elements are much more abundant, and the visual elements are not as effective as they should be. The PowerPoint contains slides with too many words, and most of the images are clip art. Burmark suggests that clip art is ineffective and ambiguous. Also, all of the slides are on a yellow background with a dark-colored font. Burmark suggests that cool colors like blue and green are better for backgrounds. So, the first changes made to the presentation would be to make the background on the slides in a cool color. McTeague and Flowers found that elementary students prefer images to make concepts more concrete. Students want just enough information to overview the main points for clarification within diagrams. Because the scientific method is a cyclical process, another change to the slide would be to show the process in a circular path rather than a linear path. Since pictures are more easily remembered than words, relevant images would be added to help students recall the scientific method. To check for understanding, the activity on the third day of the original lesson plan involves a simulation for students to complete. The simulation is an interactive PowerPoint. The original design of the simulation has many of the same design flaws as the first lesson. Again, there are too many words and clip art images. For the same reasons given before, the background would be changed to a cool color. Burmark also suggests that text and graphical images in the foreground be done in warm colors like yellow, orange, and red. So the font was changed to a warm color on a cool colored background. To help students remember the concepts better, relevant images were added. On the slide shown, the teaspoon of sugar yields a smaller loaf of bread, while the cup of sugar yields a bigger loaf of bread. So the association that more sugar equals a large loaf of bread is made. Next, a teacher demonstration will be given using the scientific method. This demonstration involves disproving the myth that your stomach will explode if you mix Pop Rocks candy and Coca-Cola soda. As the teacher is completing the activity, questions will be asked, students will have the opportunity to participate, and discussion of safety and rules will take place. Students will then be given a short activity to complete independently to show that they understand the process and rules. This is guided practice. Next, in the original lesson plan, students will work in small groups completing mini experiments. As they work through each experiment, they will complete worksheets to show their understanding. Instead of completing multiple experiments, students will be asked to work on completing one experiment to present to the class. Currently, all classrooms within the building have access to a set of iPods. The iPods would be used to take pictures or videotape students completing their experiment. Students would then work with their group to complete a presentation. Groups could either edit their videos to form a motion picture presentation or add still photography to a PowerPoint presentation. Students will use iMovie, PowerPoint, and basic visual design concepts that should have been previously taught. Burmark writes that visual literacy skills are extremely important for students in both learning and preparation for the workplace. Some of these skills include effective communication by application of the basic principles and concepts of visual design, production of visual messages using technology, and use of visual thinking to conceptualize solutions to problems. Students would be practicing all of these skills within this project. Lessons for this unit will require the use of individual student laptops with headphones, an interactive whiteboard, a teacher laptop, speakers for class presentations, a classroom set of iPods, and internet access. The iPods will be used as image recording devices. Each laptop is equipped with both iMovie and PowerPoint. The laptops with headphones will be used for students to complete the simulation and edit their final projects. The simulation will engage auditory, visual, and kinesthetic learners. The final presentation will engage students in the practice of visual literacy necessary for learning and the future workplace. The interactive whiteboard will be used for all presentations, including lessons and final projects. The interactive whiteboard enhances the lesson for visual learners as well as adds interactivity to keep students engaged. Students also have whiteboard technology loaded on their laptops so that they can write on their final PowerPoint presentations. Internet access will be necessary for students to retrieve information and for research. Students will be evaluated through a summative computer-based test at the end of the unit in which a grade of 70% or better must be attained. Students are required by the district to take Compass Learning assessments within the Odyssey program. Any student who does not meet the requirements of the computer-based assessment will be required to follow a set of lessons created in the Odyssey program and retake the test. A rubric will be used to assess final projects. Students will be informally assessed daily by teacher note-taking as students are participating in class. Students will also be asked to complete a survey which asks the students' opinions of the unit design. This survey will determine the effectiveness of the unit design. In summary, Burmark emphasizes the importance of visual literacy skills. In the original design of a 4th grade unit on the scientific method, many visuals were used. However, the effectiveness of these visuals was questionable. Applying Burmark's design concepts regarding background and foreground color, changes were made to both a PowerPoint presentation given by the teacher to introduce concepts and a simulation designed as a review for students to complete individually. McTeague and Flowers wrote that science students prefer uncluttered diagrams with relevant images to help them remember concepts. Therefore, a change was made in the way the concept of the scientific method was presented. A diagram was constructed to show the scientific method as a circular process as opposed to a linear process. Relevant images were also added to help students connect the concept. Finally, students were given the opportunity to practice their visual literacy skills with the addition of a final project requiring students to present a motion picture or PowerPoint presentation illustrating the scientific method. So it is not only crucial to provide lessons with visuals to help students, but teachers must also make sure the visuals are relevant. And most importantly, students must have the opportunity to develop their own visual literacy skills through well-constructed classroom activities. This presentation was done on Prezi, which is a free web-based presentation maker. Camtasia 2 for Mac was also used to create and edit the presentation as a video. This software is unfortunately not free, but there is a free trial. Also, Tuxedo was used in the presentation. It is free and makes word clouds with shapes. YouTube was also used to upload the presentation. The complete paper and redesigned PowerPoint lessons can be seen in their entirety on the Final Presentation blog.